Welcome, your lordships, to this premier online coaching. I am Dr. Naresh Kumar Behel, a retired district and sessions judge from UP Judicial Services. I started my career in law from 1975 onwards when I was admitted in LLB. I did my LLB from DAV College, Dehradun, then my LLM from Campus Law Center, University of Delhi, and then I completed my PhD from MDU Rohtak. From 1981 to 84, I was practicing as a lawyer and I was running my Doon Law Institute at Dehradun, imparting coaching to law students who are aspirants of joining judicial services. Thereafter, I was also selected as Munsif. The name of the court at that time was Munsif. So I also joined UP Judicial Services, and after putting up approximately 33 years in judicial services, I superannuated from district Sultanpur near Lucknow, and after superannuation, I joined another coaching center in another law college here at Noida. And now, today, in this online coaching, we would be starting a fresh lecture on Constitution of India, and the lecture shall relate to the process and power of amendment of Indian Constitution. Once again, welcome your lordships. This is my brief introduction which I have given to you, and the topic for the day is amendment of Constitution of India. As all of you know that the amendment procedure has been incorporated in Article 368 of our Constitution. Later on, the power of Parliament to amend was also added in the Constitution in Article 368 by 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Initially, it was only procedure for amendment, but now this article incorporates the power as well as procedure for amendment of the Constitution. And the opening language of Article 368, as all of you know, deals that Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent powers, amend by way of addition, variation, or repeal any provision of this Constitution in accordance with procedure laid down in Article 368. Dear students, this Article 368 Clause 1 was added in our Constitution by 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. I have abbreviated Constitutional Amendment Act as CAA to save the time and space in the PPT. Now, dear students, so far as the amendment procedure of our Constitution is concerned, an amendment of the Constitution may be initiated by introduction of a bill for the purpose in either house of the Parliament, and when the bill is passed in each house by a majority of the total membership of that house and by majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of that house present and voting, and then bill shall be presented to the President of India, who shall give his assent to the bill. This shall give his assent to the bill was substituted again by 24th Constitutional Amendment 1971. And thereupon, after the assent of the President of India, the Constitution shall stand amended in accordance with terms of the bill. Another clause relating to the amendment and its impact on the fundamental rights and other provisions of the Constitution says that nothing in Article 13 shall apply to any amendment made under Article 368, which means that even if amended portion of the law is inconsistent with or in derogation of fundamental rights, it shall not be declared void. This means that Parliament can amend each and every part of the Constitution of India, even if such an amendment takes away or abridges your fundamental rights given in the Constitution. Now, dear students, I'll advise you to use the name of one author at least in your each answer while taking mains examination. So I have illustrated here also that according to V.N. Shukla, Constitution of India can be amended in following ways. I have just done nothing. I have just used the name of Mr. V.N. Shukla. He is the author of the book. All of you must have read this book. So, according to Mr. V.N. Shukla, Constitution of India can be amended in the following ways. There are three ways of amending our Constitution. The method number one is by simple majority. You know, according to Article 2, 3, and 4 of our Constitution, if the Parliament wants creation of new states, formation of new states, or alteration of the areas or boundaries or names of existing states, this can be done by ordinary legislation of the Parliament. You must have read it in the newspaper, and most of you are aware that name of Uttaranchal was changed to Uttarakhand. Name of Chennai was converted from Madras, Mumbai from Bombay also. So what is the procedure of changing the names of the states or creation of new states or abolition of new states? Recently, you must have noticed that state of Jammu and Kashmir was converted into a union territory. So how this was done? Few people say that this does not amount to amendment of the constitution. But dear students, I say that it substantially amounts to amendment of the constitution, since this law changing the name of the state, boundaries of the state, requires amendment in first and fourth schedule of Constitution of India. Once any of the schedule of the constitution is amended, definitely in my opinion, it amounts to amendment of the constitution. May not be in strict terms of Article 368, but substantially it amounts to some changes and amendment in the Constitution of India. Now, how it is to be done? This is the first method. For changing the name of the state, for creation new states, for alteration of boundaries, first of all, the recommendation of President of India is required. Then that bill has to be referred to the concerned state for its views. Suppose name of the Uttarakhand was to be changed from Uttaranchal. So this bill has to be sent to the state government of Uttaranchal first. Their views shall be obtained as to what they want regarding the change of their name or the alteration of their boundaries. So I have abbreviated this procedure in equation number 1. Dear students, we must keep in mind that we have only 25 minutes to answer a question. We must start consolidating our answer from the first minute when you start writing in the examination. So equation number 1, I have drafted a bill. First of all, the recommendation of president. Then bill is to be passed from 2 houses of parliament by simple majority. Simple majority, you know, more than half. If our Lok Sabha has 545 members, so simple majority means more than half of it, that is 273 votes are required for passage of such a bill. Similarly, if you talk about Rajya Sabha, then we have 250 members in the Rajya Sabha. So half of 250 is 125. So minimum 126 votes are required for passing of such a bill. And then finally, bill is sent to the President of India for its assent, and constitution stands amended, or the name of the state stands changed, or the boundaries stands altered. So equation number 1, I am repeating. First of all, the recommendation of president, prior requirement, first requirement. Then bill is referred to the concerned state for its views. Now the equation starts. Bill requires passage from 2 houses of parliament by simple majority plus assent of President of India is equal to act. Moving on, you will see that laws made under Article 2 and 3 have to provide for amendment of the first schedule that contains list of states and union territories. Of course, once you have changed the name of state of Jammu and Kashmir as Union Territory, you have to amend the first schedule. And the fourth schedule also, which deals with allocation of seats in the Council of States, that is Rajya Sabha. Once the area of the state is increased, maybe that allocation of seats in Rajya Sabha from that particular state or union territory are to be increased or to be decreased as the case may be. But dear students, the amendment procedure, first method which I told you, such a law shall not be deemed to be an amendment of this constitution for the purposes of Article 368. Fine, this line is there, no doubt. But again, I am repeating that in my considered opinion, this method of changing the name of the states, changing the alteration and boundaries of the state substantially amounts to amendment of the constitution. Why? Because ultimately first and fourth schedule are going to be amended. Second method of amending our constitution is by special majority. This is equation number 2. First of all, a bill is required. Then this bill has to be passed from two houses of the parliament by majority of total membership of the house. Majority of total membership, I just told you, if in Lok Sabha we have 545 MPs, then minimum number of votes 273 are required for passage of a bill from Lok Sabha and 126 out of 250 in Rajya Sabha. And after passage of this bill from two houses of the parliament, by majority of total membership of each house plus 2/3 votes of those who are present and voting in the two houses is also required. Say for example, you are amending the constitution by this special majority, and in Lok Sabha, suppose on that particular day when the bill is presented in the parliament, 450 members are present. So minimum requirement for passage of the bill is 273, but 2/3 of 450 is also required. And 2/3 of 450 will be 300. So bill cannot be passed by simple majority of 273 because the 2/3 votes of all the MPs present and voting is also required. So the minimum requirement for passage of the bill will be 300 votes. And thereafter, the royal assent of the President of India is also required. And then the equation number 2 says bill plus passage from two houses of parliament by majority of total membership of each house, in bracket I have mentioned 273 of 545 in Lok Sabha and 126 of 250 in Rajya Sabha, as well as 2/3 of those who participated in voting plus assent of the President is equal to Constitutional Amendment Act. Now moving on to the third method of amending our constitution. This third method requires special majority along with ratification of half of the states. The equation is equation number 3. Equation number 3 means equation number 2 plus approval of at least half of the states of total number of states in our country. Presently, we have 29 states. The last state created was Telangana. So half of 29 is 14.5. So 15 states are required to give their ratification if the constitution is to be amended in its third method. Plus assent of President of India, of course, is required. You see, dear students, there's taking of approval of at least half of the states. What does it indicate? It indicates our federal feature of the Constitution of India, that we have the central government, we have various state governments, but we are taking the approval of at least half of the states also. Each and every state will discuss the bill in their legislatures. If they are unicameral, of course, one house will discuss. If there is a bicameral legislation in the state, then they will discuss it. But the approval of at least half of the states is required for carrying out the amendment in our constitution by this third method. See, this special majority with ratification of not less than half of the states is required only in particular circumstances and particular items which are listed in Article 368. And the first one is Article 54. If you want to make amendment in the manner of election of President of India, you need equation number 3 for amending the Constitution. Then is Article 55, manner of election of President of India once again. Then Article 73, extent of the executive power of the Union. If you want to increase the executive power of the central government, you need equation number 3 for amendment of the Constitution. Then Article 162, if you wish to change the extent of executive power of the state government, you need equation number 3 for amending the Constitution. Then Article 241, you want to create high courts for union territories. Yes, of course, equation number 3 is required. Then if you want to touch or change or amend chapter 4 of part 5th dealing with union judiciary, Supreme Court, there is a demand of creation of a bench of the Supreme Court in South. If the central government wants to create bench of the Supreme Court in the South, the constitution has to be amended by virtue of a method given in equation number 3, where ratification of at least half of the states are required. Then if you want to change high courts in the states, or you want to change the powers of the high courts of the state. When I was posted as district judge, we used to demand that power of writ should be given to the district judiciary also. So if central government wants to authorize district judges with the writs jurisdiction under Article 226, then constitution has to be amended in a third way according to equation number 3. And then if you want to change the legislative relations between center and state, Article 245 to 255, again you need a method of amending the constitution by virtue of equation number 3. And lastly, if you want to amend the 7th schedule 3 lists, union list, state list and concurrent lists are there. If you want to change any item from list 1 to 2 or 2 to 1 or vice versa, you will have to amend the constitution by a method written in equation number 3. And then if you want to change representation of states in parliament, meaning thereby you want to change the number of MPs in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, because all the MPs which are sitting in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they are the representative of the states. If you want to change their number, you will have to amend the constitution in the third way according to equation number 3. And then last item is Article 368 itself. If you want to change the amendment procedure which is prescribed in Article 368, you will have to amend the constitution according to equation number 3. You will have to adopt the third method of amendment of constitution. Then dear student, these are the major 3 methods of amending the constitution. Method number 1, people don't recognize, but I say it is yes, a method of amending the constitution. Now 4th method by which constitution can be amended, which is not written of course in Article 368, is by judicial interpretations. Supreme Court has so many times struck down so many amendments done in our constitution or legislations. So that is a 4th method. Legally, Supreme Court is authorized to say that such and such amendment being violative of fundamental rights is being struck down. And once it is struck down, of course, it remains on the statute book, but its effect is nullified. One more method, dear students. Constitution can be amended by presidential order also. And the recent controversy of Article 370 and Article 35, capital A, which was incorporated for Jammu and Kashmir, it was added by presidential order and it was changed by presidential order. Of course, constitution has been amended. Once you have changed Article 370, substantially you have amended the constitution. So this is the 5th method, that by presidential order also constitution can be amended. If the constitution has already authorized President of India to change Article 370, so the President of India has done it. Dear students, by now you must have understood the distinction between amendment of the constitution. Please do not confuse it with the amendment of other laws. Every day you see IPC is being amended, CRPC, Evidence Act are being amended by Criminal Law Amendment Act passed by the Parliament. So ordinary laws like IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act can be amended by simple majority of the members present and voting in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha plus assent of the President of India. And state governments can also amend the laws by their simple majority of members present and voting in the Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council in cases of bicameral legislations. But please keep in mind from prelims point of view that state governments have no power to amend Constitution of India. The Article 368, as I told you, includes not only the procedure for amendment of the Constitution, but it talks about power of amendment also. How far our Indian Constitution is amendable? What is the extent? Is it the power of amendment is limited or is it unlimited? We will be dealing with this controversy when we'll take up Article 13 also. But in nutshell, I may tell you that amendment of fundamental rights, whether it can be done or not. You see, power of amendment is incorporated in Article 368, and the word law, which is used under Article 13 Clause 2, did not include an amendment of the Constitution. So, Parliament can amend any part of Constitution of India even if it takes away fundamental rights. This is the ratio of the leading case Shankari Prasad versus Union of India and Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan. These two cases are dealing with the power of Parliament to amend the Constitution. But dear students, you know that these two cases were overruled in Golaknath versus State of Punjab, and it was held that word law under Article 13 Clause 2 includes constitutional amendment, and Parliament cannot amend the Constitution if it takes away or abridges any of the fundamental rights. But all of you know that in Golaknath's case, this overruling was done prospectively. But this decision of Golaknath led to the passing of 24th Constitutional Amendment, which added Clause 3 in Article 368 and correspondingly Clause 4 in Article 13. Third point which you must note after the development of Golaknath, that in Keshwanand Bharati versus State of Kerala, it was held that basic feature of Constitution of India cannot be amended, cannot be changed by constitutional amendment. And Article 3 thereafter, to nullify the effect of these judgments, Article 368 Clause 4 and Clause 5 were added in our Constitution by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. And then again, Article 31C, 368 Clause 4 and 5, they were struck down in Minerva Mills versus Union of India, since the power of judicial review was taken away. And in Article 31 capital C, laws implementing directive principles of state policy were exempted from challenge on the ground of violation of Article 14, 19 and 31. And similarly, Article 368 Clause 4 and 5 validated all invalidated and existing amendments, and it removed all limitations on future amendments also. So dear students, just to repeat this part of the lecture because it may be slightly confusing for you, I'm repeating it. These two clauses, 368 Clause 4 and 368 Clause 5. 368 Clause 4 was added. It says that no amendment of the Constitution, including provisions of Part 3rd, made or purporting to have been made under Article 368, whether before or after the commencement of Section 55 of 42nd Constitutional Amendment, shall be called in question in any court on any ground. You see, the language shows that power of judicial review of the High Courts and Supreme Court is taken away by Article 368, Clause 4. And see further in Clause 5, what was added? The language says that for removal of doubts, it is hereby declared that there shall be no limitation whatever on the constituent power of Parliament to amend by way of addition, variation, or repeal the provisions of this Constitution under Article 368. So, two things: judicial review is taken away, and power of Parliament to amend the Constitution is made unlimited. So, these two clauses, Article 368, Clause 4 and 5, which were added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976, were declared invalid by the Supreme Court in Minerva Mill versus Union of India, a leading case. What happened by addition of Article 364 and 5? The doctrine of basic structure was violated. Because as I told you, that Section 55 of Constitutional 42nd Amendment, insofar as it introduced Article 368, Clause 4 and 5 in our Constitution, it damaged the basic structure of the Constitution in respect of two essential features. Number one, limited amending power of the Parliament and the power of judicial review. Why? Because these two features form the basic structure of the Constitution. Now, dear students, I have prepared a summary of the answer for you also, because if you find time in the examination hall, you can expand your answer also. You see, you must know the art of expansion and condensation of your answer according to time available during your examination. This is a graphical representation of what I have told you right now. I have classified Article 368 into three parts. The first part is Article 368, Clause 2. The original text spoke about procedure of amendment. There was no word power of amendment also. Then Article 368, Clause 1 and 3. They were amended by 24th Amendment Act 1971 to overrule the effect of Golaknath's case. And then you see Article 368, Clause 4 and 5. They were added by 42nd Amendment 1976 to overrule the effect of Keshwanand Bharti's case. And these two clauses, 368 Clause 4 and 5, were declared unconstitutional in Minerva Mills case. Again, the representation of the same. The procedure of amendment of the Constitution of India is before you. The basic structure of the Constitution is unchangeable, and only such amendments to the Constitution are allowed which do not affect its basic structure or rob of its essential character. Again, there are three methods, simplified and abbreviated for you, for amendment of the Constitution of India. Number one, by simple majority of the Parliament. And amendments in this category can be made by a simple majority of members present and voting before sending the bill to the President of India for its assent. Second method, by special majority of the Parliament. Amendments can be made in this category by 2/3 majority of total numbers of the present and voting, which should not be less than half of the total membership of the House. And the third method, by special majority of the Parliament and ratification of at least half of the states legislatures by special majority. After this, the bill is sent to the President of India for his assent. Again, a summary of the picture before you, three methods of amending the Constitution of India. Now, dear students, to distinguish your answer sheet from other students, you are supposed to write down few case laws also in your answer. And while writing the case laws, the important and magic word is ratio decidendi of the case. You see, this magic word you will have to use while answering each and every question in your mains examination. Illustration is before you. L. Chandra Kumar versus Union of India. According to ratio decidendi of this case, the power of judicial review is a basic and essential feature of Constitution of India. The Supreme Court has said that power of judicial review, which was taken away by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, is a basic and essential feature of our Constitution. Then IR Silho versus State of Tamil Nadu. According to ratio decidendi of this case, the Supreme Court held that Parliament cannot increase the amending power by amendment of Article 368 to confer on itself unlimited power of amendment and destroy and damage the fundamentals of the Constitution. Then Keshavanand Bharati versus State of Kerala, which we have already discussed. According to ratio decidendi of this case, it was held that any amendment that abridges basic features of the Constitution shall be deemed to be ultra vires beyond the powers of our Constitution. Then, dear students, you will write down conclusion in the end as to why amendments are necessary in our Constitution. To conclude, it is submitted that times are never static. Social mores and ideals change from time to time, and law must keep pace with the changing dynamism of the society. Hence, amendment of Constitution of India is also required, which can be effected in any of the above methods in accordance with provisions contained in Article 368, following the ratio decidendi of above mentioned cases as judicial precedents. So, dear students, this is how you will complete your answer in 25 minutes. But please take note of my magic notes. Magic notes are number one. You see, we have used the word introduction in the beginning. Merely writing the word introduction will give you one additional mark. Number two, use name of any author. Like I started one of the paragraph that according to V.N. Shukla, Constitution can be amended in following three ways. So using the name of the author of a book is also a magic formula for your examination. Then use the Latin words ratio decidendi as a potent tool to attract the attention of the examiner. Once you use the word ratio decidendi, your answer sheet is distinguished from other 8 or 9,000 candidates. So you will have to attract the attention of the examiner also by using the word ratio decidendi in each and every answer you have attempted. Then use graphical representation. Use arithmetical methods also. Like we have used equation number 1, equation number 2, equation number 3 as three ways of amending our Constitution. So wherever possible, please use the equation method. Please use graphical representation. You can make rough sketch, a diagram representing your answer in your answer sheet. Then use the heading conclusion in the last paragraph of the answer. And see the length of your answer. I have used only 20 PPTs for making one credit card for you towards your goal of assuring your seat on the dais of a courtroom. See, 20 PPTs when put together on a piece of paper, it will be a credit card for you. We will be preparing one credit card before lunch and one credit card after lunch. 2 credit cards will be prepared per day. And at the end of the year, you will be ready with around 700 or more than that questions in the shape of credit cards, and those credit cards will be key to your success in the examination. If a student is preparing 2 credit card here I mean just 1 page summary of your entire answer. If you are going to answer this question, how to amend Indian Constitution, what is the power and procedure of amendment of Indian Constitution, then your answer should be only 1 page. You will prepare a summary in the shape of credit card only on 1 page, which will constitute the summary of these 20 PPTs. Because time management is very important in examination. You have written very elaborate answers, but you could attempt only 4 questions out of 5. You are out of competition because one question means 40 marks. You are out of competition if you leave one question, if you, because of lengthy answers, you could not attempt 5th question. So dear students, this is how the lecture of the day I conclude here. Thanking all of you, and I now invite the questions from the students. If you have any questions, you are most welcome. Thank you again.